Good morning. The entire landscape of cybersecurity is shifting under our feet, right now. We're no longer just building walls to keep attackers out. We're now in a world where we are inviting autonomous AI agents directly into our most sensitive environments. This briefing is about getting ahead of this new agentic AI risk before it's too late.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll define this new autonomous threat so we know exactly what we're up against. Then, we'll walk through some real-world breaches to see how these things are actually being exploited. After that, we'll get to the bottom line, the economic blast radius. And finally, and most importantly, we'll lay out a clear, actionable playbook you can use to defend the enterprise.
So first things first, we have to understand that the entire paradigm has changed. For years, AI was just a tool, right? Something passive that we would consult. Well, that era is over. AI is now an autonomous actor. It's making decisions and taking actions on its own, inside our networks.
And let's be really clear here, this is not just another chatbot. We're talking about agentic AI. These are autonomous systems that can execute commands, that can manage credentials, that can access your file systems, all without any direct human supervision. They are operating with system-level privileges, right inside your most critical developer environments.
You know, the security folks on the front lines, they're calling this the lethal trifecta. It's this dangerous combination of three capabilities all in one agent: access to your private data, exposure to all the untrusted content on the web, and the ability to talk to the outside world. And then you add this bonus risk on top: persistent memory. The agent can learn and remember things across sessions. That means it can hold on to malicious instructions, turning it from a temporary tool into a permanent threat inside your system.
And this flips our entire security model on its head. For decades, our whole strategy has been about keeping attackers out. But with agentic AI, we are literally inviting them in. We're handing them the keys to the kingdom because we want the productivity gains. The attackers aren't breaking in anymore. They're being welcomed through the front door.
And please, don't think this is just some theory. This is happening right now. These risks are being exploited in the wild. Let's take a look at exactly how.
The Claw Havoc campaign is a perfect, terrifying example of a new kind of supply chain risk. Attackers flooded a public marketplace for AI skills, basically plugins, with malware. They disguised it with professional-looking docs and harmless names. The result? A staggering 12%. Think about that. 12% of the entire registry was malicious, pushing info-stealing malware directly to developers who thought they were just downloading a useful tool.
But the supply chain is just one way in. Sometimes the threat comes from a much simpler place, a basic misconfiguration. That's what happened with the Notebook breach, and that whole crisis started with this one giant number.
1.5 million. That's how many extremely valuable API tokens were left completely exposed. And it wasn't some sophisticated nation-state hack. It was a single, poorly secured database on a platform that hosted AI agents. One simple mistake and boom, a total collapse of credentials.
And just look at what they got. We're not talking about test keys or low-level access. These are production-level keys for OpenAI, Anthropic, AWS, Google Cloud. I mean, these are literally the keys to the core infrastructure that runs your business, handed right over to the bad guys.
Which of course brings us to the question that really matters. What's the financial damage? We have to understand the full economic blast radius of these new autonomous threats.
So, we've broken the risk down into 4 tiers. At the bottom, you have AI-accelerated ransomware, which can easily cost millions per victim. You move up a level, you have mass identity leaks like Notebook. We're talking hundreds of millions in collective cost. Higher still, you've got those supply chain breaches. And then, at the very top, you have a systemic infrastructure collapse, a $1 billion plus event, caused by an AI finding a zero-day bug in the core software the world runs on.
And if you think a systemic risk like that is just sci-fi, think again. A research project called Glasswing proved that these new AI models can find critical bugs that decades of human experts have missed. They found a 27-year-old bug in a highly secure operating system. And the cost for the AI to find that catastrophic flaw? Less than $50.
And this is what's truly terrifying. This creates a dangerous imbalance, an asymmetry of speed that our current security models were never, ever designed to handle. The offense now moves at a pace that the defense simply can't match.
This right here is the new reality. This is the speed asymmetry we're up against. An attacker can find a flaw and build a weapon to exploit it in a matter of hours.
Meanwhile, our defense, our patching cycle, it still operates on a timeline of weeks, sometimes months. That gap, that's where the catastrophic risk now lives.
All right, that's the problem. It's big, it's fast, and frankly, it's scary. But it is not an unsolvable problem. So let's pivot to the solution. This isn't about panic, it's about preparation. Here is a clear, actionable playbook for your defense.
We recommend a 4-pillar strategy to build a layered defense. It's simple. We have to isolate the infrastructure where these agents operate. We have to govern their digital identities. We need to secure the coding process itself. And finally, we have to audit everything and enforce our policies without exception. Okay, your number one technical priority starting today is isolation. AI agents must never, under any circumstances, run on an employee's workstation with access to company credentials. They have to be deployed in fully sandboxed, isolated runtimes, like a virtual machine or a container, with their own dedicated low-privilege credentials and absolutely zero access to production systems.
Now, from a policy standpoint, we need to be crystal clear. First, you prohibit all unauthorized AI coding tools, period. Second, you mandate the use of what we call judge agents. These are specialized AIs whose only job is to audit code written by other AIs, checking for security flaws before it ever gets merged. And third, you have to start a process to find, inventory, and govern all the agents that are already running in your environment.
So I'll leave you with this one question, which is really your first action item. Do you know where your shadow AI assets are hiding? Because I can promise you, your teams are already using unauthorized AI tools to be more productive. Your biggest immediate risk isn't what's coming tomorrow. It's the tools you don't even know are running today. You simply cannot secure what you cannot see.